So about 3 months ago, I got a lot of dislikes on some of my videos because I was talking about runes. People didn't quite get it, and I think now that's starting to change. Today, we're going to talk about what's been happening, but more importantly, what you should be doing with Bitcoin runes in terms of what to look for. Look for the obvious. Don't chase the new stuff. Let's see how the market's developed since those first few videos. Yeah, let's go. This could be huge if you're a new investor or if you are dabbling for the first time in Bitcoin. Now, something that I've been covered a lot in my Patreon is a dollar cost average challenge. Since September, I've been putting a little bit into a wallet, right? And I've also been dabbling into a bit of runes. I haven't put anywhere near as much as that in my wallet, which is good to know, right? And that is already in the period of like quite a hard market, certainly September and October. We've made some good money and it hasn't really popped off yet, which is really, really good. In terms of transparency and stuff, this is the holdings. You can see them all. This is what I've got. Nothing crazy, nothing mad, but we're going to build it over time. We're going to hopefully flip stuff. We're going to hopefully buy new stuff. We're going to have a bit of fun with it and maybe hodl and things turn out pretty good. Again, as I say, I cover this on my Patreon. There's a 50% off for the first month. Feel free to jump in. It's cheap, it's affordable, and also if you just want to get videos on Discord, it's a bargain. But we need to talk about runes. We need to talk about how dominant Solana runes are. Not runes, sorry, meme coin, sorry. But you can actually get runes on Solana, funny enough. With Ethereum, it's tailed off a little bit, but left-hand side, yeah, that's where it is, right? Now, even if, right, runes, ordinals, whatever, go up to say 1% of the market share of Bitcoin, that could be massive, monstrous, huge. And we often talk, and very, very soon I'm going to be doing a series about what was it like sort of vibe, right? Of like 2016 when I first started and each year that I've been in the market, right? And I always refer back to the ICO boom here. If you don't know what that was when Ethereum went from to boom, really, really big. And it launched a lot of coins in terms of what we know. So the likes of Cardano, funny enough, people don't know this, was an ERC20 token. VeChain was an ERC20 token. Tron was an ERC20 token. EOS was an ERC. Like, these are all big, massive, bloaty kind of things on Ethereum. And then they went and built their own chain, which is fair enough, right? Now, what we're getting now with runes, and this is going to sound pretty complicated. Now, a rune is basically a token on the Bitcoin infrastructure, right? It's a UTXO and it communicates with Bitcoin. It uses a finality, and also with a rune, they are new, but they can also are compatible with Lightning Network, which is very, very fast, very, very cheap to move Bitcoin around. It's an amazing bit of kit. Now, we're at its infancy, and when we go back to the ICO boom, what happened before the ICO boom was technically meme coins, and shit coins, and they were just kind of getting their feet. We're going to start seeing more and more of these kind of memes and these little characters come back to life. But we're also going to start seeing more utility tokens when people start to see, well, actually, we can use the best blockchain, the biggest cult, where the biggest money is, the biggest security factor, built like a tank, to develop and build. That's where my excitement comes from it. Because, as I say, it reminds me of the ICO boom. It reminds me of 2016 when I first bought, when I was able to put Bitcoin onto an exchange to buy an altcoin. That sort of thing is really, really nice. And again, when we talk about certain things, we are now shattering records. We are pretty much bigger than BRC20s, which have been out for a lot longer. Its total market cap is $2.7 billion. And a lot of people say to me, right, and there's tweets about this, and you'll probably see it, videos. I sold some altcoin assets. I sold Polkadot specifically. And what I've done with that money, a percentage of it went into runes. And it is high risk because, again, it's 2.7 billion. Runes have potential to really, really grow your Bitcoin, like properly grow it. As in, you are putting Satoshis in and getting Satoshis out. Technically, right? Because at the end of the day, we're looking at the price pointer there, but I do it on chain, so it's all in Satoshis. It's baffling how easy it is and accessible it is, and we'll talk about how to do it in a bit. And the fundamentals are very, very clear here, right? And it's going to blow your brains. What if this is the ICO boom again, but not for Ethereum, not for the market, but for Bitcoin? What if Bitcoin becomes bigger in terms of tokenization because it can, and it probably already is happening slowly, with everything going on around it? Obviously, I've mentioned before in previous videos, Stacks, which is going to have a layer 2 called Nakamoto, which will allow things to run on the Bitcoin layer at a very, very fast metric, which is similar to Solana and Ethereum. That's pretty big. So stuff like that, it makes you have warm, fuzzy testicles for a little second, right? And as you can see here, this is the growth of it. There's a lot of holders. I'd say a lot. There's 1 million. Whoa, it's early. Look at the on-chain data, 10 million. We'll come back to centralized exchanges in a minute, but the market cap is still very slow. And as you can see here, this is what they are. Simple as that, right? And we will talk about what to look for, and we will get into it. And I think it's very, very important that we do that. But what's happened recently is Doge. Doge Go to the Moon is pretty much the original, right? It's a dog asset. It's very much liked. It's the biggest meme coin on Bitcoin. And it's just had its first centralized exchange kind of proper big listing, as in like a tier 1. And that was on your futures, not spot, by the way, which is even more important. Its volume now has shot up significantly, as you can see here by this chart. If I go over the last 7 days, right, and we're looking at the volume, right, the volume was kind of coasting around 20 to 24 million, right? Once it got this listing, it has really started to slowly ramp up into much bigger numbers, right? And that's only one, and it's Kraken. And now I love Kraken, but it's a good utility exchange. It's very, very easily accessible, but it's not where people kind of go, oh, Kraken, what would you rather buy into? Most people tend to go for the likes of Binance, Bybit, Qcoin, for example, right? So stuff like that is massive. And when we do talk about exchanges, they're not even on here because it's all obviously in this side of it, which is very, very different, right? So in terms of all the volume and stuff like that and centralized exchanges, futures and stuff, for spot, it's different. And as you can see here, look at the volume. The volume on the futures, people are genuinely interested, but on spot, minimal amount of exchanges that you would probably go to. And yeah, don't get me wrong, it's growing. But that's just the start, the little start, and the distribution of it is so small, yet we've already got this. And look at all the other ones. Now, the one thing that it has a big disadvantage over, obviously Solana and stuff like that, and Ethereum, Uniswap, massive in, obviously, the world of Ethereum, Phantom Wallet, Radium, etc., and Jupiter as well on Solana, massive, like the volume that they can do. So if you look at like Dog with Hat, for example, or Popcat, their volume's much higher. But you got to think, we're at a point now, and I'll show you it, that Magic Eden, for example, could become the Uniswap or the Phantom Wallet / Radium / Jupiter of Bitcoin. And that will probably blow your mind when you start looking at it, thinking, bloody hell, that's ridiculous. And it could definitely happen. So as I say, right, the 24-hour on-chain volume is 20x now. On-chain is where it's important, where the whales from Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ecosystem will start to come out and have a look at it. There's a lot of money on Bitcoin, a lot of money. There's a lot of whales sitting there. And what will those whales not want to do? They won't want to transfer it over to another chain, will they? No, what the hell? They will want to stick on Bitcoin. And that alone as a tweet is pretty ridiculous when you think how much bigger that is. So moving on to something that is going to kind of probably blow your mind even more, right? Let's just say, right, Kraken did a PR exercise and it's worked very well. And let me explain why. They've listed it for free, right? So they've listed it for free. So runes are fair launch. You mint it as a community, essentially. Like, it goes onto the minting part and you mint it. And obviously, the thing with Dog that was different is it was airdropped to holders, right? So there's a lot of holders. Now, with this, it's a fair launch still. Kraken, as I've alluded to it, listed it for free. Now, with regards to this, a lot of people talked about it. Now, an exchange will often charge for listings. Not all of them, but some of them do. Now, with regard to that, if it's a PR exercise and people love the fact that they've listed it for free, people are going to talk about it. And Kraken got a lot of free marketing. Now, let me look at something simple here. Dog had the highest social media engagement interactions, and there's been a lot of different variations of tweets on this, by the way. Now, this is what's interesting, right? You can see it here very, very clearly. The interactions are bigger than Popcat, Goat, all of them, pretty much all of them, right? Now, I don't know what if this is fully valid, but there's been a lot of tweet versions of this in terms of interactions of dog versus other things, and it really did pop off. It properly popped off, and you've probably seen a lot of information. And I'll tell you what, I'll just show you the announcement on Kraken. This is the announcement on Kraken. On Kraken Pro. Now, Kraken Pro isn't a massive account. It isn't. I'll just give you an idea. It's got 40,000 followers. Look at the amount of engagement and information, interest, and welcome aboard, and everything just went absolute berserk. And you can see even here, the social insights of here, it just ramped up, and there probably is a lot more tweets to back it up to showcase. Well, actually, bloody hell, that really did take off. So yeah, you've got to be looking at that side of it as a massive, massive perk. But what this has now led us to is the fact that there's been screenshots of this where Dog, $1 billion Cat, and other ones have been put into consideration for Binance Futures. And we've already got Bybit Futures and stuff like that. Nothing crazy, but once the futures happen, we're going to probably start seeing spot. And for this to happen in terms of spot, they have to buy it. They have to buy the token to do it. This is what the whole big thing about is. And same with meme coins. Certain meme coins that were developed as fair launch and done very, very well, exchanges had to buy the token supply. That's massive, and it's scary. Unless it gets donated by the community, which I find very, very unlikely. So yeah, early. And again, we talk about usability and information and follow the leader. The Chinese account of OKX is openly tweeting about runes right now. In terms of this tweet alone, people are talking about it. They want it. So let's go and look at what to buy, how to do it. Because I know you're going to be asking. Let me know if you want any more content around this, please. Now, the first thing that you need to do, and I think this is vitally important. Now, I'm looking at some of these Satoshis. It's going berserk at the minute. Now, you need to get, in my opinion, what I use Magic Eden Wallet. It's a really, really good wallet. Now, it may not work in certain countries on your iOS, but if you go to magiceden.io and then, you get the wallet tab here, you can press onto the wallet and you can get on the browser, you can get on both. I got on both, essentially, right? And I personally, I do think Magic Eden is going to become the most obvious bit of kit around in terms of the Bitcoin ecosystem, but ultimately everything else. It's cross-chain. So you can use Solana with it, you can use Ethereum with it, you can use Base with it, Bitcoin, obviously. Madness, right? So remember the name, Magic Eden, right? Now, what I did say beforehand was Magic Eden could become very similar to Uniswap or Jupiter, Phantom, whatever, because when I showcase this, you'll be able to do swaps soon, which is going to be pretty awesome. So this is what it'll be like very, very soon, where you can literally just swap it over like Uniswap. Oh my God. It's going to increase the usability and make it much, much easier to do its thing. Now, I think Magic Eden, realistically, very, very soon, they're going to have a token Omics announcements because they're going to be releasing the ME token. It's going to be released on Solana, funny enough, but at the end of the day, people forget it's a cross-chain platform, right? So with regards to Magic Eden, as I say, you've got Bitcoin, everything else, right? So in terms of the wallet, which is my wallet up here, you've got all kinds. I think there's 480 different wallets you can put on it. And then if you're on the wallet, you can swap on the wallet to say Bitcoin into your Bitcoin address. And then you can go onto the platform here and just go onto it, click whatever you want, press the swap functionality, and just buy it. It'll be brilliant. Amazing. But let's look at what sort of things you should be looking at. Now, this is my tactic. I might be wrong for some of you guys. I don't care. I think picking the obvious is probably key here because the multiples could be massive. You've got to think you've got the biggest orange thing in the world, which is Bitcoin, which is unbelievable, right? Now, people are going to, I think, get very tribalistic and trip over pennies for pounds and all that kind of stuff, but keep it simple. Now, the ones that I hold, you've seen them before. You've got Doge Go to the Moon, you've got $1 billion Cat, you've got Base Internet Panda. They're my three main runes, right? I also have a one called Wizard, which I'll come on to in a bit. I might forget, I do apologize, but I will come on to it. So that's important. Now, things that I've got away from me from just being silly was Gizmo. Gizmo, to me, looked obvious when I saw it at Mint and I missed it. I even missed it like 3 sats and it went up to 61. Now, let's talk about multiples. That price is in Satoshis, predominantly. Now, if you're looking at, say, like, I'll give you a real life example. Polkadot holders, hello, I hope you're well. And I don't hate it. I don't. But in my opinion, right, this chart here has a lot of risk to reward. But I'm not going to say to people, you might get a 20x here, or you might get a 10x here, or you might get a 5x here, because this is the altcoin / BTC. We are played in the same metric, right? So when we're looking at this, for example, current live prices, now even up to the 2024 kind of highs, or just before 2024, that's like a 3x. 3x in Bitcoin's pretty good. Probably do much more than that, in my opinion. But if it does, sweet, let's go up here, right? A 6x. Now, that is, in my opinion, up to August time 2022, a 6x, right? If you put X amount of Bitcoin, you will get that much in return if you sell it for Bitcoin, right? If BTC also then goes on a 2x, you've basically 12x your bag, right? That's kind of the match. Obviously, you got different mechanics of FX effect and stuff like that. Whereas with Magic Eden and with the Bitcoin pair, you are on chain. You are buying on chain. And let's just say a real life example, Gizmo, I saw it at mint stage. I also saw it at 3 sats. And I didn't get out of bed, which is really annoying. And people in Patreon often remind me of that. And fuck you guys, basically. Because I can't bother. I left, so like, imagine, the simple maths, 61 divided by, 3 divided by 61 or whatever maths you want to do, right? There's a lot of multiples there. Yeah, it's like 20x. So imagine 20x in your Bitcoin. This is the thing. There's a lot of multiples here on play. I bought $1 billion cat at 21 Satoshis. It's now 152, for example, right? Dog, I was buying the bottom not too long ago and it's nearly up 1x. And that's one of the big boy ones. So in terms of that, there's a lot of multiples. So as I say, you need to do research around the community. Is it memeable? Tip number 1. Does it have a community? Is it active? Tip number 2. What's its market cap? How many holders does it have? Is it verified? Is it a real thing? Now, one thing that I do like now with Magic Eden, if you go to the wallet and your portfolio, they have a little authorization tick, which is quite nice to see if it's actually generic. I'd like it if it actually appeared on here instead of the wallet, but you get the idea, right? But in terms of buying, $1 billion cat, for example, one of my favorites. If you go on their website, it's brilliant. Actually, I'll show you their Twitter. Their Twitter's really, really good. They've got a decent amount of followers. It's all about the meme around the glasses, the Bitcoin kind of the glasses are all over the place. You can make your own memes and stuff. You can make your own Billy. This is in my opinion, memeable. Very, very memeable, in my honest opinion. So stuff like that, massively, massively important. But in terms of how to buy it right now, as I say, you are literally buying it. If I press the refresh button, because the market cap's just vanished all of a sudden, you're buying it in lots. Now, in terms of lots, you can pick whatever lot you want. Obviously, different ones would be different prices, and that's how you do it. Simple as that. In terms of selling, exactly the same. You press the sell button and you just do it. The swap functionality, as I say, is coming out very, very soon. Now, the one thing that you need to do is obviously the protection of the rune. You will get outbidded. You need to keep an eye on it. And obviously, you can check the Satoshi level. So if I go onto here and I want to go and buy it, you will have the buy and then it has full protection. You'll be fine on this one, but ultimately, you've got to hope that it goes through because you're doing it on chain. It's not like an instant thing. It is on chain. So it will wait for the next block and stuff like that. It's hugely important. If you want to get away with certain things, you can obviously change certain things on here. Or you can do whatever, but at the end of the day, it's fine. The one thing that I do suggest people to do, if you want to make sure you get it, go to custom, bump it up a little bit, and if you want to go on to higher Satoshi levels per whatever, you can. Makes it a bit easier. Now, I mentioned it before, Wizard. This will become internet magic money. Now, this is risky because this is the original Bitcoin meme, right? You've probably all seen the image. And everyone talks about it. Now, there's obviously ordinals called Bitcoin Wizards. There's obviously a big community. And this is created by the original meme created back in the Reddit days. Now, if you want to compare it to something, Pepe was the 4chan meme, right? This is the Reddit meme of Bitcoin. And this actually, as fucking wild as this sounds, this inspired Dogecoin to be created. It's like, what? Yeah. So, this is sitting here at 171 million market cap. This is not a rune. This is a BRC20. This is a bit harder to buy. You've got to buy your own Uniswap, and it's a bit of a pain in the ass. But ultimately, it's, as I say early, this could, when it becomes a rune, when there's been a lot of like speculation about it, there's been a lot of cancelled live spaces on X, and it's a pain in the ass. So stuff like that could be huge. But let's look at something that I think people are all begging for. What if, for example, I know this is probably not going to happen. You know what I mean? I don't think it's ever going to get to like Dogecoin levels in one cycle, unless something absolutely barbaric happens, right? You know, feel free if it does happen, clip it and take the piss. But let's be honest, you know, it could happen. Now, with this, I've said before, a lot of the runes are very much low in value. But if you compare it to something that's quite big, and say Solana, now that's a thing. I've mentioned it before, and I know I'm rambling, but what if Magic Eden or Bitflow or all the other kind of dexes on Bitcoin, essentially, or run Bitcoin, become as big as Uniswap, Phantom Wallet, whatever, right? That could be massive for on-chain, which would give it that initial boom. Now, obviously, yes, this is crazy. Now, if obviously you do have, say, I don't know, 100,000, you know, dog, which to some people is quite a lot, that could be worth a lot of money. What about 1 million? You know what I mean? It's, I know, but that is very much comparing an obvious to an obvious, right? If we're going to go $1 billion cat, which is this bad boy, and let's just say we're going to compare this to, say, I don't know, what, Popcat or something? I mean, that alone to 1.7 billion doesn't sound too bad, right? Because one thing with Popcat is it hasn't had a bull market yet. It has. It's new, isn't it? It's new. So stuff like that is like, whoa. So we need to be very, very mindful of like how much money you could make from these, because as much as the thumbnail is very much, oh, you can 100 extra Bitcoin, well, you bloody can. And that's a scary. If you are on chain, you literally can. And the volume, as I said before, is starting to tick up nicely. A lot of these volumes are starting to do a lot more than normal. So stuff like that, massively important. If you want to go a bit deeper, as I say, these ordinals are also doing pretty damn well. As I say, you've got other chains on board here. Magic Eden could become an absolute monster of a place, let's be honest here. So yeah, that is runes. In my opinion, I'm keeping it simple. I've got Wizard, I've got Dog, I've got $1 billion and I've also got Base Internet Panda, which is down here. This is the low cap one, right? Mad community, could do very, very well. But again, as I say, it could be crazy. But if I'm going to be honest with you guys, there's a lot here that are very, very decent, right? In terms of, you know, the Seiko hamster, very decent community. Pups have got a fantastic community. You know, this has came out of left field, randomly out of nowhere recently. You know, Gizmo's doing very, very well. Puka has been doing very well recently, right? There's a lot here that could do very well. And you've also got utility tokens like Liquidum and stuff like that. So there's stuff here that's crazy. But again, as I say, it's very, very easy to create a rune. It's very, very cheap to create a rune. You can do it for like fuck all, and people just mint it along with it, and you create a little vibe. You know, it's mad. But in my opinion, keep it really, really simple, because you will get, I think anyways, developers that will develop stuff as utility tokens eventually on here. And that could get very, very interesting.